is rated GE. It is suitable for general family viewing.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's another Thursday and welcome to Body Garage, the art of well-being. Now, every year, November 19th, it is World Toilet Day. And today we are going to delve into the discussion about basic hygiene and sanitation. And we are going to discuss so much more about that, and so that you get to understand what this is about. And we have the pleasure of having our guest, Dr. Sarah, with us here. But before we go to her, my name is Dr. Chepsi and I'll be your host for tonight. And I invite you for this wonderful discussion. Dr. Sarah, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yes. It's an honor to be here, and I welcome you to my space too.
Thank you. It's a beautiful place.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but there's a big hand that went behind what we do, and we must honor and thank God for what He's done for us up to today. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I mean, before we go to the discussion of today, just a bit about yourself and what you do, and also about where we are, this place.
So my name, as mentioned earlier, my name is Dr. Sarah, and I've been 19 years of practice in medicine. What I do is, I do everything. These days, I'm basically everywhere running, but importantly, what do? I take care of people who have had, so I have a fellowship in palliative care. So then I take care of people who have general issues in that arena, because as we know, palliative care not only takes care of people who perhaps their chemotherapy has been stopped, but I also take care of people who have conditions that the hospital environment will not help. So you'll find me mostly in the home care arena and setup. On top of that, I've also done a lot of mental health, including psychology, but I am best known as a counselor than a psychologist, which is what I prefer based on the exposure of the people I have been. So I'm the go-to person in all arenas. And on top of that, with the theology, helping people understand how does medicine tie in the arenas of faith, because a lot of people feel like going to a doctor is disowning the God they love, which is not true. Medicine and doctors are a point of mercy where your faith may not be as high, and nobody should be shy. So again, you'll find me in the preventive and promotive arena. I talk a lot about preventive promotion. I am right behind there with the community health promoters in how best can we make my society, my Kenya, because it's my land, it's my Africa. How can we make it better from the health space point of view, both physical and mental health? So here at MediHub Healthcare has been here since 2014, been doing fabulous things for the community. We were known for wellness, and now wellness meant you walk in, you're okay, and you do your annual checkup, which I advise people to do, because that's how we catch things quite fast. But we're in the space now, we have opened the clinic to walk-ins, and we also have the counseling base here. So people come in for counseling, and psychologists do come in to do the counseling and psychology. Fully equipped lab, which is we can do any lab test on here. And we're also running the show fully certified by the government to do COVID screening. So that's just a snippet of MediHub Health there. Yes, sir. And merely along a Valley Road.
Yeah,
yes,
that's great. Now, on to the discussion of tonight.
Yes.
Yeah. About, by the time our viewers are watching this, it's past the November 19th, the World Toilet Day.
Yes.
And, for many of us, I think we take the toilet as just something minor.
Yes.
But why? How come that we come to talk about the World Toilet Day? How important is it?
To talk about, yes, I know it's so belittling, but it's also very important, because remember the Sustainable Developmental Goals does put clean water and sanitation, which means the toilet is there. And at World Toilet Day, in as much as the name is very limiting, it means that we want to take care of the things that you can do in your surrounding to prevent a lot of communicable diseases. So the World Toilet Day, as belittling as it would be, I would insist that we take it as serious as anything else that we would do. So of course, yes, we're talking as a place that is beyond, but those things that have been put in by when we say standard developmental goal, it goes and it helps with health, it helps with how infrastructure and innovation should be done, it also helps in how communities should exist. So you can see we're targeting about 4 or 5 of the SDGs, hence marking its importance in community. Yes, sir.
Now, but unto our day-to-day lives, how important is the toilet?
Very important. Okay, first of all, of course, naturally, when you eat, you must deposit, and that's the first, in fact, I tell people the first sanitation system, infrastructure, is the gut. So from your mouth all the way to the outlet, which is, we know it as the anus. So all that is a canal, it's a pipe. That's the first sanitation system. How important it is? Because it helps remove waste. So there are 2 wastes that you experience as a human being, which is the feces and the urine, both of which are components or compounds that remove waste from the body. So sometimes somebody will even give an example of, you gave me an antibiotic and now my urine is smelling like that, because the body is agreeing with the antibiotic, but it's removing the excess things that are not important there. So again, then we mandatory tell people. I hear Kenyans comfortably telling me that I don't go to the toilet to pass number 2 for kosher purposes. We all now understand what number 2 means. That means they don't pass feces. They say they can stay 2-3 days and it's okay with them. I tell them that's not okay. It's supposed to be a daily occurrence. So, but we have other factors that will limit that sanitary system in your body, and those are the things where the mental health part now comes in. But yes, it is important because, again, how you're hydrating, what you're eating will affect that sanitary sanitary system of the body. Yes, sir.
Now, it seems to me that the toilet part is a small bit of the umbrella term sanitation and hygiene, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's come to these 2 words, sanitation, hygiene. In your descriptions, what are they? Let's start with sanitation.
Okay, so sanitation is proper waste disposal, just as it is. So most people then think when we say sanitation, they think sanitary pads. That's how the sanitary part came in. But sanitation is proper waste disposal, which is inclusive of how you dispose sanitary pads. It's inclusive of where you go to pass urine or to pass the feces. It includes how you throw away garbage. So sanitation is also garbage control. How do we dispose? In the medical field, where do we put our needles? And that is sanitation, where we put them. So that's the definition of sanitation. When it comes to hygiene, it's the things we'll do that will promote good health and to reduce to almost 0 diseases. So that's the difference between hygiene and sanitation. Yes.
Now, where does things like, now examples of like basic hygiene, where do we come in with the hand washing and the related, where does it come in?
So we have 3 types of, if you want to do hygiene, there's 3 types of them. So there's personal, there's water, and there's environmental. So I like to take back people to COVID era. The hand washing, of course, statistically, they spoke about it reducing COVID by 16%. But for communicable diseases, and still in Africa, diarrheal diseases are #1 causes of the communicable diseases. Simple thing as hand washing reduces that markedly high. So when you talk about hand washing, comes primarily at personal hygiene. Right. So essentially, if we have time, Daktari, we will demonstrate how to hand wash. Because I feel like sometimes people have that assumption, bora nimefanya hivi, maji ilipitia pahali, and you go even to the washroom, which is another different part of personal hygiene with hand washing. So when you're in the bathroom, there is a specific technique we tell ladies so that they don't get some of those UTIs, urinary tract infection, or bacterial vaginosis from the bathroom. There are things we teach them how they need to do. That's part of personal hygiene. And then after that, how do you wash your hands? So that's again part of personal hygiene. Now, when it comes to water cleanliness, is regardless of how you collect your water, how clean is it? And this is when the initiative of water filters came in. So water cleansing is part of it. And the third is environmental, which is quite big, but one of the biggest things is disposal of garbages. And when we go now to the areas of low social economic living, how then within that place are they draining the water properly? That's environmental sanitation. If that paper, because a lot, I know that they had, the environmental department had stopped the paper bags because those were part of the problems of sanitation. So again, that's what makes the three of them very important to us in terms of approaching sanitation.
So you've mentioned three main, so
yes.
Environmental sanitation,
yes.
And then?
We have personal hygiene sanitation,
yeah.
And water itself.
And water.
Yes, because that's different from those two. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Let's now dive into each of the three.
Yes.
Because I think it's important now that the viewers come to know a bit more about them.
Yes.
So that we can employ them in our daily lives. Yeah. Let's start with the personal
yes.
hygiene.
Yes.
When you say personal hygiene, what are we talking about? And what are some of the practices that I, as Chebsi,
yes.
can employ
yes.
on a personal basis,
yes.
daily basis to prevent infection?
So for me, I approach that, and I usually share this as a tip, is a head-to-toe approach. So first thing as to why I talk about the head part is I'm coming against passports. Watu wa passport ndio mimi huyo nakuja mbio mbio, right? So even when you're doing your basic everyday, start from head to toe. So from your hair, how is it looking? Whatever hair you have, how is it? So because lice is still there, ringworms is still there even in older people. So you're trying to look at that, how you're washing your hair. What are you using to wash your hair? And I must basically emphasize that the normal soap, sabuni ya kipande, how would you call it, that one? You don't need an extravagant kind of soap to contain your hygiene or control and maintain your hygiene. So head to toe. Your eyes, how are you washing your eyes? So there is a thing where people put soap in the eye level. In fact, I tell people, your face should rarely meet soap. Should actually be nice, cool water and wash your face. I have discovered that the cold water has Botox-like effect, whereas the warm water makes your skin sags. In fact, dermatologists, if you see, like in Canada, the US dermatologists are actually warning us against using hot water, or the water that we are saying now we have tumevuka border, we can't shower with boarding school water. That water generally comes to the skin and causes sagging of the skin. So you're now seeing that statistically, younger people looking older than the older generation because of that type of habit. Two, again, still in personal hygiene, the oils that you're using on your face. So the oil will, again, if it's based on oil, and some of the lotions have, especially with ladies, a lot of ladies prefer to use different type of things, and especially makeup on their face. So those, how you personally hygiene is not only using the wipes to wipe off, but to actually wash the face and have a period of breathing. So this would perhaps look like this. In the evening, you get home perhaps 4 or 5 p.m. and then you are able to wash off and stay without the makeup. Although the men have accused that now we are shining out there, and in here we are looking different, but it's very good for the skin and it will help that. So now that is part of the face. People should never forget the ear because of otitis externa. So people will come in with the pimples that are there in the external canal of the ear, which is just a pipe that you get to see outside in the ear. When you don't clean that place properly, you get infections, and that's part of personal hygiene. And also the issue of the cotton buds, the earbuds, we have advised against, because what they do is that they cause accumulation of the earwax. And a lot of people, when they come for ear syringing, when I tell them now stop doing this thing, they notice that there is no promotion of the earwax. Because what does the earwax then respond to? Sometimes you go there with vigor. I don't know whether people can understand the itchiness of the ear. There's a sweet itch that you start from somewhere and you really need to get it out. But I always advise, don't put in there the plain cotton bud. For example, you have to, I say, use a little bit of glycerin. It helps with picking up the thing, and you get there in there once and gone. So the face, you can see from the face up, I've taken a bit more time because it's a small place that can cause infection. And especially the final part of the face is your teeth. So brushing your teeth, I always tell people, if you want to know whether you're brushing your teeth properly, look at the base of your teeth. If they are looking reddish, then it's inflamed, therefore you're not doing oral hygiene. Sure.
So stay tuned, dear viewer. As we are back, we'll continue the discussion.
The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for. That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Moyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the Home of Untold Stories.
Welcome back. You are watching Body Garage, the art of well-being, and we are talking about sanitation and hygiene. And right now we continue on the discussion about personal hygiene, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we took a break at the point where you are describing to us about our teeth.
Mm-hmm. And one, it will be a disservice to the face to miss out on the teeth part. So when you want to know that you're brushing your teeth properly, is you look at the point where the teeth meet the gums from the inner angle and the outer angle. If there is redness, a little bit of different coloration on it, then you're not practicing good hygiene. Now, most people then will ask, and this is the dentist department, but because of questioning and asking to know, the soft toothbrush works best. I know, especially I see men with those tough bristles. I don't know whether you're brushing the enamel off, but that's why sometimes people bleed. So they could bleed because there is poor hygiene, but they could also bleed because of the bristles of the brush they're using that is tough. And while you're still in the mouth, kindly brush your tongue and the roof of the mouth, because as you close your mouth, the tongue, very interestingly, lifts up slightly to stay at the roof of the tongue, of the mouth. So the hygiene part also includes that. Gargling helps. We discover that when we have good oral hygiene, stops even the children who come with tonsillitis and any throat infections.
It helps to reduce that one.
Yes, including adults too. And even for those who are mothers, there are times your child has a smell when they're breathing. You don't need to use mouthwash on them. Just use, what we used to do is we tell them, just take a small piece of cloth with warm water and just wipe the inner part of their mouth and their tongue. You'll notice that smell will go. And so that is the face. So when we come to the body, the whole body, the hygiene, the best hygiene is of course taking a shower or a bath. Twice a day is very effective on account that the busy schedule that people have. I know that can be a limitation for people who don't have enough water, but then bathing in the morning and in the evening, it was called a French bath, but just for the explanation purposes, it will be sponge bathing. So you take a piece of cloth and wipe. So it will be, you wash, you put water on it, you put soap, just very little water, put in the cloth that you have, wipe the areas, and you keep rinsing out. Then when you finish, now plain water, and you just need very little for the face part, and then the rest of the body can just be wiped down, because the face is where mostly issues like eye infections, we are now seeing increasing statistics, not out yet, but also eye infections are going up because of that. So showering twice a day. How often you wash your clothes? For people who wear tight clothing, you cannot afford to repeat the clothes. Before, this would be a female thing, but nowadays even men are wearing tight clothing. Why is that based on hygiene and sanitation. Tightness reduces the space of the pores from breathing. So a lot of women will come, itchiness, even men nowadays, that's our concern. So when you wear tight trousers, in as much as it's everything for you, it hinders that. Also hinders digestion, because being a woman, I've tried those tight, and I can feel it's not comfortable. So that's, again, remember it started and said the first system of sanitation is from mouth to colon, and it's also in the urinary tract. So some of these things are very hindering. And women, in as much as a discharge is normal, excess of it is also not okay. So if it doesn't have to mean it's foul smelling. What have I done, Daktari? I've already gone to the sexual reproductive system. One of the things about men, it is easier being that it's external, but for women, we stop you from using any advertised things to make it better. So even douching by WHO and all standards, because within our medical system, we have ways which we communicate and say, this one is out. So doctors are actually doing publications to tell women that just cold water, no soap, don't put anything in there, just cold water will help. Not only does it help with hygiene, it helps with tightening of the muscles, because cold water will make it Kegel part. Then we talk about the feet, because that's another place. There are those ones who say, they're foul-smelling feet. Foul-smelling feet is an indication of a fungal infection that can be overt or covert. The overt ones, we see the color in between the toes. There's a discoloration, a change in color, looks like wet, and sometimes some people will have some skin manifestations of the fungal infection. But the covert one, the silent one, is what presents with smelly socks. Naturally, also the type of socks you wear would be that, but that was nullified because there are people with that, because they used to say buy cotton and what have you know. But essentially, socks, again, is not to be repeated, just like underwear or tight clothes. So that would be part of personal hygiene.
Yes, so you're mentioning about the part of ladies going to the washrooms.
Yes, so the ladies, sometimes, they rush there not to utilize the facility, more so to utilize the mirror. But the fact that they're in that environment, it has the germs that are there. So I usually say, before you adjust your makeup, wash your hands, clean with a dry towel, because most places in the urban area will have a disposable towel. So use that before you touch your eye, your face. And sometimes the itchiness, because I've seen ladies with the makeup and then they're trying, their eye is feeling itchy, it's because of what is cumulative in terms of dust and the germs for that. So before you touch up your makeup, wash your hands, and then after you touch up, wash your hands. So essentially environments which will require you to have sanitation, which is hand washing most of the time. You need to have that taken care of. And we have not even addressed professionals, because professionals, as a medical doctor, there are things we would not touch patient without gloves. Okay, in Africa, maybe we pass. When it's just stethoscope examining, but I just want to quickly touch on that. Professionally, there are things you can also do to your equipment, which is personal hygiene. For example, I don't walk around wearing my stethoscope all the time, because at the level I am in right now, I'm not doing the touchdown thing. I just come, give an opinion and walk away, right? But if you're there, you're handling the stethoscope, you're handling equipment in whatever environment of your workplace, because it could even be the accountant with the computer, an accountant with books. Even in the bank, sometimes they get paper cuts which turn out to be cellulitis of the finger. So anytime you're in those environments of work, promote hand washing. Quickest way, because sometimes vitu ni mingi na masaa ni machache. There you go, daktari. So use the hand sanitizer. Works very well. Promoted during the COVID, but we knew that really works well. So that will be part of personal hygiene. Yes, sir.
Right. Now, in relation to now the toilets have like personal hygiene, especially, you picture this in a home setting, or somebody has a toddler or, just school going, the issues of diaper changing,
Yes.
the issue of how to clean themselves,
Yes.
maybe the girls, Maybe
Yeah.
you can mention something about that.
Sure. So in as much as, yes, that would be now secondary hygiene in the class of personal hygiene, because a child will not know how to do those things themselves. So normally for ladies, and especially because, okay, nowadays I've seen men chipping in. In my era, it was us guys who used to change the diapers, which is fine. So what happens is that the diaper should not be fully soaked, right? Which is expensive, but that's how it has been styled to be. Because bear in mind that a diaper has chemicals. That's why it's not leaking. So it has a gel that expands to seal the pores of the material of the diaper to prevent leaking. But that can also cause the diaper rash. So before it used to be called nappy rash, and now we see diaper rash is quite rampant. Because there are people who are assuming, Daktari, that a diaper can be more everlasting than a nappy. It's same, no, it's not. It's the same protocol. So if it is wet, it should not be soaked. And as soon as it's wet, it should be changed. And of course, naturally, when the child has passed feces, it will be changed because of this. It has to be changed. But people tend to wait and see. And that's how we get the nappy rash or diaper rash. This is something I will advise anybody who has a hearing ear. If you're in the compound where you're comfortable, you're safe, have the child run without the diaper. Take them outside there. Let them run and be free. It helps a lot also, because I find the diaper with the chemicals that are there very also constrictive. Because remember, the diaper has to fit the child. So the comfortability and the freedom of the child is also limited. I would suggest that. I mean, I watched my grandmother do that, and I think it's a very awesome thing in terms of even just hygiene. And then number two, when you're now having the children, because maybe let's now talk about the umbilical cord. So a child has been born and is being brought home. The hospitals have the prerogative to give the mothers on discharge spirit to wipe and how to teach. So just in summary, it's you cut the cotton walls into small cotton balls, and you wash your hands before you touch them. So you've washed your hands effectively, then take the cotton wool, cut, and every cotton bud you dip into the warm water with salt, because spirit doesn't have to be present. All right? Spirit is for the ones who can afford. The ones who can't, salt is a very good antibacterial. So take the salt with a very small piece, wipe coming from the outer part, throw. So the first time you pass the outer part, throw away. Rinse your hands, pick the next cotton wool, do it. And you're making a motion, a clockwise motion as you come into the center of the umbilical cord. And every time you use it, you throw. Same with a child with an eye infection. So sometimes the child has something, the discharge in the eye, that is not of gonorrhea, just the normal bacterial infection. We also advise the same. Yeah, you can put ointment, but sometimes it's irritating to the child. Just the same method I've used. Wash your hands and cut those into the cotton into very small balls. And as you wipe one eye going outside, you discard and pick again warm water with salt and discard. Those are just the things that you can do for the small child. Cutting nails, I've seen now, your child has also, the nails have also grown, which is something that adults always have to be. I mean, you can see I maintain my nails short because of what nails equally pick from everywhere. So when you're clipping your child's nails, make sure not to clip the edges of the nail, because they do get infections at the side, and that will make the child uncomfortable, because the child can't tell you it's my hand that is paining. So those are the things that I would advise. Now people ask me, Daktari, now does that mean that the child has to be changing clothes every day? If you can't afford to do that, then that's fine. Just make the clothes clean. And I've discovered that advice of making them run out there helps turn down the number of clothes. Yes.
You're not using it yet.
Thank you.
Yes.
And then we have to be sensitive. I personally would not want to spend too much money on a child's clothes. Why? They're growing, Daktari. They're growing, and this era where everybody wants to buy the one that fits exactly. As guys knew the formula. You fold 0 to 12. You understand? So those are the things, because what will be a challenge to handle sanitation when we talk about the water cleanliness in that part. So for the children, that's what I would suggest. Yeah. Oh, they should not be afraid of a child eating soil.
Really?
Yes. The digestive system of a child is so good. Unless it's an instrument which will injure them, where we need to call the surgeons. Maybe a coin, a bean in the ear and the nose, you know those things, a pin, yeah, which we'll talk about in environmental hygiene and sanitizer. But if you find a child of yours is eating soil, not to worry. They are going to be okay. And especially if they are teething. That should be okay. Wash the carrot for teething. Let me say that, Dr. It's just hit me. When a child is teething, give them a carrot. Just peel it nicely, wash it nicely, give it to them. It will help play with it with the teething, and that also reduces the diarrheal diseases we see in children. Because children, when they're teething, they get fever, and it's actually because of teething, not a direct infection. Yes, sir.
Yes, that's quite a lot on the personal hygiene. Let's move on to the next one. But we are being alerted that we need to take a break actually. Yes. So we are back. We talk about the remaining two, starting with the environmental hygiene, and then we go to the other one.
Yes, sir.
So stay tuned, dear viewer. As we are back, we'll continue the discussion.
The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for. That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Moyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the Home of Untold Stories.
Katika majengo haya, hapa ndipo sheria zinapotungwa na zinapopakuliwa. Nitakuletea viongozi mbalimbali, mirengo mbalimbali, wote kwa pamoja wakipika na kupakua. Tutawapa nafasi kuweza kuangazia changamoto na mafanikio ya ugatuzi katika ukumbi wa siasa kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 1 kamili na kuendelea.
Toka eneo hili la Naivasha kwenye kaunti 032, gatuzi la Nakuru.
Kutoka kaunti ya Elgeyo Marakwet, kaunti 028.
Nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Wajir.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Turukana.
Kwa matukio yote yanayojiri katika kaunti hii 012.
Kutoka kaunti nambari 1, kaunti ya Mombasa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Lamu.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka Kisii County.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Machakos.
Kutoka kaunti hii ya Trans Nzoia.
Kaunti 038.
Kutoka gatuzi nambari 029, kaunti ya Nandi, chemichemi ya mabingwa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Kakamega.
Itakuwa nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Bungoma.
Jina langu ni Paula Munio.
Willy Dennis Jiru.
Fabian Kibet.
Mimi ni Hashim Jimal.
Mimi ni Kitio Mika Masai.
John Javakiania.
Jina langu ni Abdulaziz Nameka.
Mimi ni Kombo Alfayo.
Jina langu ni Nicholas Mbai.
Isaac Famba.
Mimi ni Wanji Sosti.
Jina langu ni Arnold Adidi.
Jina langu ni Chris Bet.
Jina langu ni Violet Auma.
Na TV47 inapotamba, mimi Sheila Chelangat nitakuwa nikiripotia maswala yanayokuhusu wewe kila kuchao. Every Thursday 7:30 p.m. unapata nafasi kufahamu viongozi mbalimbali kutoka humu nchini, kuanzia wabunge.
Through Changa, we could get money to pay our rent.
pay our bills.
When I was growing up, water was a problem where I was born and bred. We wake up at 3 to go and look for water.
Magavana
must be ready to be a tough woman and not a woman to be walked over.
Kwa hivyo
but you respect people.
Dari ya mfahamu kiongozi story na historia na mi Elizabeth Muchuku.
Kwa mirindimo kem ya michezo, mahojiano ya kipekee na mabingwa wetu, makala ya kuvutia pamoja na matukio mubashara viwanjani. Shabiki, tutapiga mbizi katika kila kiwanja, ndani na hata nje ya nchi.
Dr. Sarah, you've talked about personal hygiene quite passionately, yes. But now let's look at the environmental hygiene. What does it encompass?
So environmental hygiene just involves your surroundings. So the surroundings then will tackle them into your area just immediately where your body is. So your bedroom, your sitting room, your kitchen, those are very important because those are the places where infection then spreads to the community. Your first community is your family or the people you live in the same room, even if they are roommates. That's your first community to the extended community who's outside your home or even your workplace. So environmental hygiene and sanitation comes in observing the things that are around you. How clean are they? How I remember when one of the things that we tackled about environmental hygiene was disposing of tissues after you've blown your nose. So people sneeze, the tissues are right next there. Then if you have a small child, the child again is exposed to the same thing. I know a cold is quite cumbersome, but this is what I used to tell a lot of people to do. Just get one of those, even if it's those bags the supermarket gives you, the smaller ones, or even take out food, they bring them in a small bag. Put it right next to you. Once you finish, tie it and then lay it in a safe spot to do that. So that was the simplest environmental example we gave in terms of taking care of hygiene and environmental hygiene. How do you put your dirty clothes away? Because clean clothes is obvious. Daktari, you have washed, you know where to put them. But how do you deal with the clothes you've removed? Especially you people who work for long hours to help this economy. Yeah. Before you reach your bedroom, you have already removed your top, wherever you are. And how are you disposing that? Because remember, you've come out, regardless of the means of transport you use, environmental. Like remember, I've said importantly, the environment that is important is the one around you. So how do you take care of your clothes that are dirty? Where are you putting them? Yeah? Then when it comes to eating, right? And when we talk about food sanitation, we'll delve more into that. But what used to get me so unhappy with my mom is panguza vyombo kabla mjazieka kwa meza. I'm like, see, they were washed. What is the point? But that's environmental, dust picking up there. I mean, it can also get into that contamination of the place. Your environment, how often are you sweeping the house? Yes, I know majority of the dust in the house is dead skin, but dust, do you know now statistically the allergies in children and adults has increased? Yet it's because of exposure of dust in the house. Because sometimes some of the houses we have furniture that is stuck to a certain corner, and you cannot convince me that there's somebody getting under that sofa. So that kind of dust, how are we dealing with the dust to reduce allergies? Because a lot of these allergies people have, including gluten, have been put back to environmental hygiene, what's around you. So the dust in the house. Then when you get now to the environmental population, how are we disposing of garbage? Before, like I remember in Canada, if you had food stuff, you couldn't just throw it anyhowly. You then put it in a specific bag, tie it in a specific way, and not just throw it because it was called waste. So you can't put it next to a bottle. So that's how they do the recycle part, the waste disposal. They separate their garbage, and that also helps people, environmental, be safe in terms of how they dispose of waste. And waste, then your food from your house to the garbage bin. How is it? Where is it being deposited? I remember Nairobi River used to be a river.
A true river.
Yeah, not a name where Google Maps, when you ask Google what should I do for fun in Nairobi, it powerfully suggests swimming in Nairobi River. So what happens essentially is that is environmental. How around you are you taking care of it? We are not going to leave these initiatives to just people alone. We also take the initiative ourselves. So I've talked about dumping. I've talked about when dumping outside, where are you dumping? Because dumping in the river means waters that people are drinking. If poorly treated, then we are going to struggle. That's environmental sanitation. And then based on the environment of your work, if you're following, because everybody at their workplace has a protocol of disposing things, and it equals paper. Daktari, you know how much we write, and we have to throw the paper. Where are you throwing? That's environmental. Where are we throwing those type of things? I will do you injustice if I don't talk about antibiotic disposal, because that's part of environmental hygiene and sanitation. You do not pour the remaining antibiotic in the sink. That's why now we are on very high, expensive antibiotics for children, because resistance starts from there.
So you throw the antibiotic, you are exposing a certain bacteria down there.
What you're doing is that you're exposing the bacteria to gain muscle. It's going to the gym with that one. It becomes more stronger than the antibiotic. So next time children come in, we have to use, expensive. I've given you why we do that. Somebody somewhere is pouring it, throwing the tablets in the dustbin. In fact, I believe the Pharmacy and Poisons Board did say all medication that has remained should be taken to the nearest pharmacy. I hope people will hear and uphold. You see that your friend Njeri is now feeling sick, now ulibakisha tembe tatu, you start giving. Absolutely no. So you take to the nearest pharmacy. That's part of environmental sanitation and hygiene, because we are struggling. You see, Africa is not yet in a place. And when I say that, I boldly even speak about South Africa, because after what Egypt went through, it has also gone down with the war that Egypt experienced. So we are no longer in a place where we can create antibiotics that are pocket friendly to the mwananchi. So this is very important. Yes, yes.
Develop stronger.
Yes, and stronger means expensive, because if we are getting them from other places, it will be hard. So that is something I would ask people to also watch out in terms of environmental sanitation. Yes,
Doctor. About the water and food.
Water and food, I like that combination, because two of them then go together. But water, one of the things is that you notice that the water filters then became a promotional item. And it's a good item, but I will adjure everybody who cannot afford and not feel bad about it, boil your water. Now, once you boil your water, it will sit. If anybody can get the old pot, if you can get the clay pot, fresh, nice water. And what happens to the sediments is once it reaches down, then you can sieve those off. So you never have to be concerned that the sediments resting. After boiling, the consistency of the water changes, which increases sedimentation. So nobody should say your margin is chafu. Just make sure you sieve the water and then put it in ideal containers, what is accessible to you and your family. That is the best way to clean your water, whether it's coming from the water system, whether it's coming from the borehole. Because again, we have to be honestly just look at the realistic way of the pocket value of the person. So boiling water. For those who can afford, the filter systems, that usually works. But ladies and gentlemen, filters here are forever. This is the thing we have to warn you. Filter also has an expiry date. So you have to ask your manufacturer or the person who buy, but most of them the manufacturer has written when you need to dispose. Because after that expiry date, it stops working. So you're just drinking tap water. For those who drink tap water like me, we are okay. I encourage you to continue.
Most. Are you sure all of them?
No, there are people who drink tap water.
No, like I'm sure all tap waters are okay.
No, you see, this is what I'm encouraging the ones where tap water is not okay and they have a problem. We've given them two options, Daktari. They boil the water or they buy a filter, and noting that a filter has an expiry date, which means they have to buy another one. For the ones who, like me, have survived with drinking tap water, I'm not coming against you. Please continue as long as you have not been unwell. Yes. And then also you remember tap water, the issue was lead. You know, lead cannot do much, which is what we'll speak about if we talk about the initiatives the government must do. Watching out that lead tanks is something that should not be there. We should find new ways of storing water, even in the borehole area, and sipping what is under the water tables, cleanliness.
Yes, just talk about them because I think that's important. When we talk about water, we are in Nairobi.
Yes.
Are we talking only in the context of Nairobi where we have tap water and the storage tanks? But there's somebody there who walks 15 kilometers to get water.
Yes. Yeah. So the one for the 15 kilometers best is boiling water. That one renders everything okay. Boil the water, put it in because they already have the pot anywhere or the places where they store. Now the jerry cans, what used to happen is you'd find some would use the soot to wash the jerry can, and they would think that is not hygienic. It's okay. It doesn't cause any issues on how you wash the jerry can. The only thing is that don't let the jerry can, now after you've washed, keep washing after every change of water. So as soon as that, and then minding, of course, the sediments. Sediments after boiling water does not mean it's an unclean water. So this boiling addresses both rural and urban. Because again, we must appreciate there are people in the urban area who might not afford a filter, right?
Because of time, let's talk about briefly where in Kenya, where are we? In terms of sanitation, hygiene, water, food safety.
I think Kenya is trying in terms of trying to get the ecosystem to work with it in terms of initiatives. So you're getting a lot of, even if you're digging a well or a borehole, there is that initiative to make sure that there's sanitized water, to make sure that disposal is good. But still lacking behind because infrastructure is what you need, and that includes systems and machines to do that, right? Where we are also lacking is on food sanitation, because now even inspection of the Kibandaski is very minimal, or whatever happens there, hotels, whatever. Anybody who is even, like now, when we do delivery of foods from Glovo and them, are we sure about safety and sanitation? That's where we are lacking. We are doing good in these other simpler things, but this is a big gap. Creating clean water for everybody, that's a very big gap that is there for the government. But here is what I would suggest for the government. Collaborate. There are hospitals, healthcares, NGOs and corporations who would want to do that and make it as a government initiative. That's what I would suggest for that. Yes.
Great.
And creating awareness like we're doing right now. Education. Daktari should be seeing you everywhere. Every time you do a commercial break and you have an advert, you say, guys, remember, wash hands, boil your water, keep your environment safe, keep everything safe. That's how we'll get them to know, Daktari.
Slowly but surely.
Of course, sir.
Yes, thank you so much. Now, about 10 million people in Kenya do not have access to water. That's quite a large number. It
is, yes, quite a large number. Yeah, and especially from the northern parts of Kenya, there's a really big problem with that. And then, look, Mr. Beast was here the other day doing some sort of initiative. I think sometimes, Daktari, you'll allow me to briefly say this, that maybe it's you and me to take the initiative as individuals. Maybe let's not force, maybe there's too much red tape. You and I can do this as an initiative. That's what I suggest, because we've been talking about this issue of those 10 million not getting water. Let's take up the challenge, you and I.
Take up the challenge.
Yes.
10 million people do not have access to water in Kenya.
Yes.
What about the numbers even about those who don't have access to a toilet?
Yes.
We heard about the flying toilets related.
Yes.
How do we store food and so on and so forth?
Yes.
We've come to the end of our show today.
Yes, Daktari, we could teach them forever.
Yes, we've come to the end of our discussion. Thank you so much, Dr. Sarah, for sharing your knowledge generously with us, teaching us, educating us, and so much more. Yes. We hope we will have another session with you, maybe on something else, maybe on the same. but we do appreciate. To our viewers, thank you for watching this show, this episode to this far. We appreciate your time, we appreciate your support, and we trust that every day we impact your life with educative content. I've been your host, Dr. Chepsi. This has been Body Garage, the art of well-being. We'll see you next Thursday.